A 90-year-old in Fort Lauderdale has been arrested for feeding the homeless because apparently they have a law in the area that prevents you from feeding the homeless. Now, he is working alongside two ministers from the sanctuary church in the area, and their whole mission is to help the poor. They believe that their religion makes them care for people who are less fortunate than them. So he goes out there and he prepares meals for homeless people. Now, as a result, since there's a law that prevents you from feeding homeless people on the streets, a cop approached him, and here's what he had to say about it. One of the police officers came over and said, "Drop that plate right now," as if I was carrying a weapon. He also says, "These are the poorest of the poor. They have nothing. They don't have a roof over their heads." How do you turn them away?
They're not animals, so you don't get to say, like, don't feed the pigeons about human beings. So now you want to pass ordinances about proper places where you could provide soup kitchens for homeless people. I get it, right? Zoning, etc. Don't approach a pastor and tell him to drop a plate of food as if he's feeding some animal in a zoo, okay? That's a human being you're talking about here. And here's a religious person being incredibly decent. Let's enjoy that moment, right? Instead of focusing on the bad parts of the Bible, discriminating against gays, whatever it might be, right? Here's a guy who's doing a wonderful thing, and of course, it's America, so we've got to put an end to it. Let's threaten to arrest him. At least they didn't tase the guy, right? But I'm discouraged by the police action as usual, but I'm encouraged that there are guys like him out there who are so fundamentally decent that they're willing to risk breaking the law or whatever regulations are in place to make sure that they help other people.
So let me give you details on what the law is. The regulations require groups to be at least 500 feet away from residential properties, and food sites are restricted to one per city block. So I'm guessing he was somewhere near a residential area, and as a result the cops were... By the way, nothing annoys me more than watching cops harass homeless people, which I just witnessed very, very recently in my own neighborhood, okay? There are homeless people in my neighborhood, whatever, it is what it is, okay? If we're not gonna deal with our homeless issue, I mean, what are we gonna do? We're gonna give citations to people who are living on the streets, which is exactly what the cop did. I don't understand how you achieve anything by giving a homeless person with no money and no resources a freaking ticket, right? But
that'll show him.
Yeah, that'll really show him. It's so stupid. But look, this is just another example of the Hunger Games, right? Just focusing on attacking people that are poorer than us, focus on the middle class and the working class and the poorest people in the country fighting one another. Why don't we talk about why we have such a huge homeless issue in this country? Why are we gonna start punishing people for being good? And that's the thing, we love punishing people for being good and we love rewarding people for bad behavior. So
here's another way the cop could have dealt with it. Go up to the two ministers and the guy and be like, "Hey, listen, I know you guys your heart's in the right place. You're trying to feed people who are hungry. It's exactly what Jesus tells you to do in the Bible. He also tells you other things, but that's a good part of what he tells you, right? So, but let's find a way to do this so that it's not a violation of this law. Otherwise, I'm going to get in trouble with my commanding officer, etc. Right? So, like, you want to pass zoning laws about where to feed the homeless. Again, I'm not nitpicking the laws. I know why people don't want to walk out of their house and see homeless people. I get it. But you just don't have, like, there's not a requirement to be dicks about it, right? Can we just exercise a little bit of human decency and say, hey, let's figure out the right place where you give them that food. Have a civil conversation instead of, drop the plate! We're coming to arrest you, you 90-year-olds, you're a threat to the what? You're a threat to hunger?
So stupid. By the way, he is probably going to be fined, and he could face jail time, although I don't think they're going to sentence a 90-year-old guy who's feeding the homeless to jail. But I don't know. It's Florida, so you never know what's going to come out of that state.
I don't give money to homeless people on the street. Sometimes I do, but generally I don't, right? Because I want to give it in the right way so that they have the food if they need it, right? But just giving it to them in the street, you don't know where it's going. I don't think it's helpful to them, right? And so I'm not the greatest guy in the world at all on homeless people. I might even be a slight dick about it, right? But you don't have to spit in their eye, man. And if somebody's trying to help them out, you don't have to arrest them. Like, there's got to be bounds of reason on decency. But we've lost track of that. We're disconnected from what used to be regular human behavior, where if somebody was helping somebody, you'd say, good job, or way to be, hey, that guy's a better guy than me, right? Now we look to crush it.
Yep.
I mean, this is, ironically, the moral decay. You know, the right wing's always talking about the moral decay. This is the moral decay of the country. This is how you lose your soul.